Dove and Woodhull welcome you to this session on negotiation, presented by attorney and founder of the negotiation company, Susan Kane.
Welcome back, everybody. We're now going to do the practice negotiation that I promised you. And Adrian and Jennifer here are our volunteers. They're going to be acting out this negotiation for you, and then we're going to talk about what went right, what went wrong, what are things that we can all learn from the experience. So let me just lay out for you for a minute what this negotiation involves. Adrian here, though you can't tell to look at her, is a rare map book dealer. And so she is going to be trying to sell a rare map to Jennifer. So the deal is pretty simple. Adrian wants to sell the map for as much as she possibly can. Jennifer wants to buy it for as little as she can. So take it away, ladies.
I understand you're a rare map dealer.
Hi, yes, my name is Adrian, and I have many beautiful maps. What kind were you interested in?
Well, I don't know very much about maps, but I'm interested in, perhaps you have an old map of a town that doesn't exist anymore, in Belgravia.
I do, actually, from about 300 years old. I do. What were you thinking on paying for it?
Well, I don't really know anything about maps, so, gosh, I don't know where to start. Why don't you tell me how much these things are worth?
Okay, well, I've recently seen one that's very similar for about $4,000.
$4,000? Wow. I mean, I was going to get this map for my mom. She used to live in Belgravia before it evaporated. I was thinking of much, much lower. I'm trying to save some money, and I really, really want to get this for her. I was thinking something a lot closer to, $800 at the most.
Okay, well, this is a very rare map, and I haven't seen any really like this, and it's one of my favorites. It's a gem. I can go $3,000.
$3,000 is still a lot of money. That's like more than my monthly rent. Wow. Okay. Is that absolutely the lowest? Because I don't think I'll be able to do $3,000.
Okay. Well, this is the business, and your mother is going to absolutely cherish this,
yeah.
And you'll be able to pass it down for generations and generations, and it's just a real prize. So I'll go $2,750, and that's my final.
Okay. I'm still going to have to think about it. Wow. That's a lot of money. I don't know what to do. I'm probably going to have to come back and talk to you at another time, see if I can get the money, if there's anything you can do for me, Mother's Day special.
Okay, I do understand it's Mother's Day, and since you seem like a really nice person, and I'd love for you to have this map, I'll do something special for you that I don't usually do for people, and I'll bring it down to $2,000.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it's going to be a big hardship for me, but I'm going to write the check. And I'd love to have this map for my mother.
Okay, great.
Great job, the two of you. Okay, so let's talk about what happened here, because this was all really interesting. Now, first of all, can you tell our audience, Adrian,
yes,
what was the least you were willing to accept?
$1,000.
Okay, and can you tell what was the most you were willing to pay?
I think it was $3,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Now, does that information surprise you?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I want to point that out because I've done this exercise countless times, and I want to emphasize that every single time people end up with completely different results. Wildly varying results. We get everything from 1,000 to 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. And so what you need to remember is every single time you do a negotiation, there is no preset outcome to it. Very often people will say to me, I hate the whole dance of negotiation because everybody knows that you're just going to end up at the midpoint, and so why do we have to go through all of this? But the answer to that is that there really is no preset midpoint. And also, the dance that you saw Jennifer and Adrian go through is actually just the dance of negotiation, and people expect it. And if you learn to embrace it, it can actually go really well for you. So now let's talk about some of the things that happened specifically in this negotiation. One thing that was really interesting was that each of you seemed to be trying to get the other to make the first offer. Is that right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay, do you want to tell us why What was your thinking? Why did you want the other person to make the first offer?
Well, I wanted to see what she was willing to pay and how high she would go, or how low she would go.
Uh-huh. And
Well, clients do it to me all the time, so I wanted the opportunity to do it to somebody else.
Great answer. Okay, and it's interesting that they both went with this instinct, because you should know the conventional wisdom is that you are always better off having the other person make the first offer. And the reason is very similar to what Adrian said. You really just don't know what the other person's going to come up with. It could be way more favorable to you than you had ever dreamed. And if you don't do it, you might be trading money away before you even realize it. Having said that, the unconventional wisdom that I sometimes really go by is that it's much better to make the first offer yourself. Can anybody guess what the reason for that would be?
Maybe because you sort of set the tone for the range of numbers you'll be working within?
Yes, thank you. That's really smart. And did you see that happen here? When the number 4,000 came out?
Yes.
That kind of set the tone, right? That is called anchoring, that phenomenon. It's a funny thing. It's a psychological thing that we humans do, that anytime a number or a notion gets out there, it suddenly takes on a kind of credibility all of its own. She immediately said, 4,000, are you kidding me? I mean, she didn't say it quite like that, because Jennifer's not the type to do that, but she said it in her own way just as effectively. It was a very effective use of a negotiation technique that is called the power of the flinch. And I find often that women are reluctant to use the power of the flinch because we feel like it's impolite or brash or something along those lines. But that's why what Jennifer did was a really great example of it. And I'm going to give you an example of it from my own life. I had the opportunity to go to Vietnam a couple years ago. And the Vietnamese are fantastic negotiators, particularly Vietnamese women, who are often in the marketplace and just negotiate as they live and breathe. So I was buying a silk dress while I was there, and the asking price for this dress was $80. And I knew you're supposed to negotiate a lot in Vietnam. So I came back with a counteroffer of $40. And the woman looked at me and did something that I'm not going to be able to completely reproduce for you, but she said something like, "Hi-ya." And I knew that when she did that she was practicing the power of the flinch. I even had those words go into my head. Yet, I still was psychologically unhinged by it a little bit, and I had to kind of regain my footing, because the dialogue that was going on inside my head was, oh my gosh, I just insulted her, I've offered way too little, I'm not sure we'll be able to close this deal, all kinds of thoughts along those lines. Adrian was very good at not letting any of that show, but I'm curious, Adrian, what were you thinking when Jennifer did that?
I think I did flinch instantly, but yeah. But I wanted to try to stay as close as to what I said.
Right. Yeah, and you were good at getting it back there. Another great thing that Jennifer did was when Adrian made an offer that you didn't really want to go with, you didn't feel as if you had to accept it at that moment. You did a thing of saying, well, I just don't know, and I'll just have to think about it. Now, I want to hit that home for you, because that may seem like an easy thing to do when you're in a store negotiating for something that you don't really care about. But let's imagine that this is a salary negotiation or some other higher stakes negotiation. It can be really tough at those moments to remember that it's okay to say, gosh, that's a really interesting offer, but can I have some time to think about it? You could be on a phone call that's moving at a really rapid pace. Remember that you can always slow that pace down by just asking for a little bit of time. And Jennifer did that very effectively. I hope you could get a sense from this that negotiation is not actually a mysterious process. It's really something that we do every day in our day-to-day lives. And I think Jennifer and Adrian were really just being their true selves when they were up here doing it. Let's also talk about 2 negotiation tips that we learned. First one was that conventional wisdom is it's better to let the other person make the first offer. Unconventional wisdom, much better for you to make the first offer if you know what you're talking about, if you've done your homework, and you know that first offer that you're making is one that's advantageous to you, but not, and this is important, not so crazy that you come across as obnoxious or irrational by making too high an offer. And the second point that we learned was about the power of the flinch and its astonishing psychological effect, and the fact that we can all practice the power of the flinch in our own way. And Jennifer did it in a really beautiful and understated way. What I want to emphasize to you about the negotiation we just did was this was a negotiation that was designed to bring out competitive negotiation tactics. So what we were talking about was things like, when do you make the first offer and when don't you make the first offer? When do you practice the power of the flinch, which has a psychological effect on the person you're negotiating with? These are all important techniques to take away. But we also want to remember that there are lots of collaborative styles of negotiating, win-win negotiating. But for now, we've just seen a demonstration of a competitive style negotiation, and thank you, Jennifer and Adrian, for a great job.